Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Psychic Zen 333. I am here with my partner, Nancy Barr. Everybody say hi to Nancy. Nancy, say hi to everyone.
Hello.
Hi. So tonight, last week, our podcast was on manifesting, and we got great feedback as well as some inspiration. So tonight our discussion is going to be on goals and goal setting, or why goals and goal setting works or doesn't work. So one of the things I had mentioned to Nancy was that in job culture here, in personal development, even at my seminar tonight, goals were part of a like a strong word in conversation. And I was said to her, when I've learned with you is that setting a goal doesn't really work. So Nancy, can you lead us off into why setting goals doesn't really work?
Well, I said because it sets up an expectation. It sets up I think what people want to know when they start work. They want to understand what is expected of them, right? They want a job description. They want someone to. Some companies want someone who's just going to start running. They want someone that's already, in the mindset of the right. Otherwise, they wouldn't hire them. So it's not about not believing in goals. I think I'd rather feel it's a desire to succeed, a desire to comply, and do my job very well, and things like that. I think there's just a general way to not provide hope, be in the hope level, but be in the doing level, the action level.
Okay. One of my questions, okay, here's the statement. The statement is, a while back ago, I learned with you, success is easy. And
right.
To me, that was so inspirational. But because of my experience at that time, I almost felt like there was a disconnect. Like, what do you mean? I put so much work in, and it at the time didn't feel like it came easy. So why is success easy?
Well, there's, it depends on. I think first of all, let's back up for a moment.
Okay.
First of all, it's a matter of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Success can be, and goals can be, I understand that this is what is going to be expected of me as far as showing up on time and doing certain things and doing my best. And we want to know, you have to have an understanding of your part in that. So, I don't think people are very good at setting goals, if you want to talk to it that way, because I don't even think they really know what they want or what they want to do. And then I think they perhaps don't give it enough understand. They don't ask the questions. Maybe they're not being trained. I don't think it's their fault. I don't think it's the fault of anyone. But it's not easy if you don't understand, and if you're not complying to what the other people want of you, and you don't understand what they want either. They don't even sometimes understand. So, I don't know if that made any sense or not. But.
It did make sense. So actually, my question to you would be, in multiple jobs that I've had in the past, I worked in sales, so we had to generate weekly goals or monthly goals. And if it was beyond show up on time and here's the outline of your job, it's how many closes can you get to generate X amount of income, and if you hit X amount of income, you can get an X amount of bonus. So
Teresa, does that not imply stress?
It does.
Doesn't it imply you might not make it?
It could. And that's exactly why I thought it would be a great subject to speak about.
Well, if you were programming that you are extremely happy and you love your job and it unfolds so nicely for you, or you get everything you want, everything you need to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't open the end to I can fail.
Okay. So,
and I don't think it's a person's fault. I think that's what these companies often do. It's an old-fashioned way, and they scare people. If you want your job, then this is a money-making company, and this is what you're gonna do.
That's true. It's true. That's definitely a component. There's motivation involved to keep everybody productive or applicable to their positions. My other question to you, Nance, is I just had it. When we,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. Should you go first or should I?
I don't know. It just came to me. I mean, not every job is cut out for every person.
That's true.
But you have to, again, having the understanding of what is required and what's expected is, something you need. And then you have to I wouldn't be doing that by myself. I would be including the cosmos and God, and, I would be adding high energies with me.
Right.
So that I can be happy and enjoy what I'm doing. The person doesn't, if they're scared and frightened, fear is not a God deal. Fear is a dark deal. Mm-hmm. So if it's, if I'm coming from the intent of fear, I'm not saying necessarily a person who has a goal is doing that, but maybe in a way, the goal is to be happy. The goal is to be successful and happy, and it's a win-win for everybody. I'm doing such a nice job that everybody's happy.
I agree. My other question to that is, when they ask you to zero in on something that's specific, something like, how much money do you is your goal going to be to make this week? And then you'd have to say something, it's going to be $3,000. Okay, well then that means you got to close 8 deals, and then you live with that mindset. How do we, if that is the line of work that somebody is in, can we really apply? I mean, there's no limitation to what source can provide, but is that coming from ego?
Well, then my question, probably one of my questions should be, all right, universe, higher self, and all those that help me. How do I accomplish that? Can you just give me the right attitude, the right way to say things, the right sales pitch? Give me everything I need to accomplish that.
Agreed. Okay, absolutely. And then the other question is, I would typically find myself in this position. I'm not sure what to say to you as a goal, because I'm not really thinking about the money. I'm thinking about the quality of the relationship, or I'm thinking about people being in a win-win situation. What if I don't have a number to ascribe to the goal? I'm just thinking about.
It depends on what kind of job you have. If that is the job, if you're not under that kind of pressure, or it's not a money making, you have to earn so much. If you're let's say you're customer service and your job is to get the customer satisfied and peaceful with whatever took place, and your job is more, or what if you're a therapist and the job is to bring insight and understanding? And again, I don't think it's just, you can just go across the board and say everyone is going to have the same desires and understanding of what their job is. But it's important that you know what it is, and you know what is expected, and you know what other people think it is.
I agree with that. I agree. And effective communication is a huge player in being able to know what your job role is. When you understand the job, you understand communication, then you could fuse those two together, and you can really explain to the individual who's stepping into that role what that job is.
Are you talking that you're in charge of the person, or are you talking about you're the worker person?
I'm saying the person who's
you're confusing me a little bit, because you're talking like someone who has the authority and the opportunity to teach someone or whatever. And then, then we were talking about someone who has to live up to that expectation. So which one are you?
I'm saying from the employer's perspective, the benefit to the employee is, if you want the employee, in my feeling on this, if you want the employee to know the role of their job, it's if the employer knows the scope of the job and knows how to communicate, then they can fuse those two pieces together and then be able to relay that to the individual who they are assigning that job task to. And I feel like, as the person on the receiving end, sometimes the communication was there and sometimes not. So Nancy, my question to you is, when you are in the employee role, what would you do, or how can people navigate their work life with, if my boss has great communication or if my boss doesn't? How could they get into that empowered state?
Go in and ask questions, and sometimes people are not willing to do that. To me, that would mean I'm in the wrong job. I believe that our job is to be happy. I think our job is to be, excited about life. And if we're in something that is not you can try everything you can to get the communication back on track, or get it on track for the first time. But if it's not going to be there, then you got a decision to make.
Right. Well, that brings me into my next question. It's kind of hits multiple points, actually, because goals and goal setting, another aspect of goals and goal setting outside of work, was also in personal development. But I digress, because my question is, mindset towards, because I'm in the right job, I'm not in the right job, getting into the vibrational alignment of I'm in the right place, I'm in the right job. So there's a mindset that goes with, I can step away from this. Like, I feel like a lot of people get into a job because of the dollar amount that they make, rather than the happiness or the value that comes from that job. It pays well, it's something I can do, and that maybe might be the end of the line. So how do we cultivate a mindset that gets us into alignment with the job that we really value?
Well, that would be ideal, but sometimes it's just a matter of having to take a job because I need to pay my rent, or I have to buy food for my kids, or if we get into a job situation like that, then you have to come up with a way to like your job, to understand it, and to be comfortable there.
And then
or to be tolerant, or to be unconditional, or whatever the term might fit.
So what happens when, say, somebody has made maybe a career path, 10 years in a job, pays the rent, but they're not really happy, they want to make a change to be able to reflect who they are authentically are? What was the mindset that could help them to make that adjustment?
The mindset has to be, it can be anything. It can be whatever the person thinks of, as long as it's legal and happy. And I mean, you don't have to like your job, but you have to be, at least, if you don't like your job, it's going to turn out that you don't like it. Sooner or later, people who are unhappy are going to make others unhappy.
That's true.
So if you're with a person, that is unhappy, and they're making you unhappy, and the job is making, you like your job, but you don't like your boss, or you don't like your supervisor or something, or the supervisor is good and you're not willing to, to do what it takes, then again, these are decisions and choices we make. And the right mindset is that I have the perfect job for me.
Yes.
Whatever it is, I mean, get it. I mean, we're not, we're not supposed to be suffering. We're not slaves, and we are slaves, but we shouldn't be slaves. So, it's one of those things where if I don't want to be a slave, then don't.
Right.
Find something, or come up with a different plan, or come up with a way to like your job in spite of it.
I like for me, my experience, it was conscious creation. So while I was at the job, I was thinking about, okay, well, this job is paying my bills and this is working for me. I can pay my rent and things like this. But if I really have a passion, a desire to have my own business or to do my own thing, what would I really enjoy being able to do? So it, to me, in my experience, it came back to self-awareness, asking myself,
of course. I mean, everything has to do with our spirit, and our life is, what do you want?
Right.
That feeling, when you mentioned goal, we set goals. And I said, I don't do goals like that. My way is more, what do I want?
Right. Right.
And then what I want, then you figure out how to manifest it. You ask to be guided in manifestation. And, sometimes people, like, for instance, money is a really good example. I mean, most people say, I want money, and rightly so. But what they want is the freedom that money buys.
Right.
Or the opportunity to do things that you wouldn't ordinarily get to do otherwise. Or you don't have the stress and the hassles, and you got everything you need.
Right.
So, I mean, there's goal, if you want to call them goals, I know, but if you want to call, what do you want? I think one of the things that helps is you get behind an idea of what do you really want? I mean, if you had that, what does that do for you?
Right.
How is that a win-win for everybody?
I like the mindset too. So when I set a goal for myself, you have like a system that I use, and it's like a series of questions. And the first thing is, my mentor gave it to me. It's called 7 Rock Life, and I zero in on that thing. So it's like, say the rock is a health, my physical health. So I would say, question 1, where am I at right now? What do I do to address my physical health? Question 2, what is my ideal state? Like, what would I like to see my relationship to my physical health look like? And then 3, what is one action step that I can take that allows me to be able to meet that goal? And then by implementing one simple thing that I can reliably accommodate, it will have the compound effect, and inevitably it will get there. So to me, when I think about goal setting, or when I feel out goal setting, as Nancy said, I think about what I really want. I get real with myself. How do you want to live, and what kind of lifestyle do you want to have, in addition to like, what kind of lifestyle do you want? How do you want to live? And then you can start taking these positive steps in that direction that allow you to move into a place of, okay, well, I want to have my own business. Well, what do I need to do? And we get into the learning space.
Teresa, I think it just involves too much thinking. You know me, I'm a minimalist.
Yes.
And it's not that complicated.
Okay.
We need, there's certain things we need. There's certain things that we are aware that we need. There's certain things we need to do. And there's a certain accomplishment that makes us feel good. And there's certain things that don't make us feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't think it's complicated. I don't think it should be complicated. Okay, let me give you another awareness I had, another awareness that I think might be helpful to you. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Do we have time?
Yes, we do.
What if? To me, it's not a what if, it is. This is a fact. What if, fact or not, that there are beings there out here to help us, and they're just tapping their fingers waiting to help us, And those beings are getting ourselves renewed. Let's see, what's April about? What's Easter about?
Resurrection?
And people forget. I mean, we think more of Jesus on the cross, or a lot of people do. We think more of the insanity part than we think about the incredible thing that it is. It is absolutely incredible. There are beings that are exactly that, and all it takes is our asking and asking for it. What if every time we get resurrected? We go through resurrections all the time, and we don't even pay attention to it. We don't know it. The resurrection can be, this just happened to someone I know, that they used to get really upset about taking care of animals because they saw only the harm that happened to them and so forth, and that really hurt them. Now they can do the same job, and they don't go through that same sorrow. They've been lifted, they've been resurrected out of the pain of it so that they can do the job effectively. That's a resurrection. There's a lot of things that are resurrecting. What if I say, I want to resurrect in my career. I want to resurrect where it's a win-win for everybody, and I want to have everything it takes that makes me, so I can have a peaceful, happy life without distraction. What if I want to resurrect and I don't want distractions? What if I want to resurrect and I want the perfect car, and I want to be back in line where I can afford what I need and want? What if I want to be resurrected about all kinds of stuff?
That's beautiful. I don't really have that word in my vocabulary, and
I would put it in your vocabulary.
I agree.
You know me, I would, I put it in mine. And I had worked on an app, a computer app.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed the app. I mean, it was very beneficial. All of a sudden, the company decided that they were going to change things, and they were going to cut everybody off, cut people off this app without notice. I mean, they just did. And so I spent 3 hours with this person trying to get my alignment with it again. And I accidentally deleted it. And it didn't matter because it wasn't there to have anyway. It wasn't available to me. Couldn't find it, I couldn't go back and bring it back for it, resurrect it and bring it back and so on. And I worked on it for 4 months, okay, because it was important to me. When my phone died and everything disappeared on the phone this last weekend, I guess it got a reset. It took an automatic reset. And I mean, things came back. I lost my pictures, but things came back. But the one thing that came back first was that app that I needed.
Oh, wow.
Because I had asked my phone when it went blank, please, I'm headed for, the Horizon store to meet the lady who's so helpful there. And I said, I just want my phone resurrected. I just want my phone resurrected because I didn't want to lose everything. And before that, it was gone. And all of a sudden, I've told I've mentioned this to a couple people too, and they're also having the same kind of effect. It is amazing. It's almost magical. And I don't, me, I don't want to start expectations. And now, but at the same time, we have blocks, right?
Right.
And we have things that we don't think that can happen, and we have our own attitudes and blocks, and it could be even past lives, but maybe it's not even this lifetime. Maybe it's another time frame. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, but it keeps us from having the good luck that we want. So I want to resurrect my good luck without blocks.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great one.
Do you understand? There's an answer to everything. Every single problem has an answer to it. And the other side of that is, what if I have blocks? The violet light, like Saint Germain and the violet light, which is white, red, and blue. The violet light gets rid of blocks. So what's wrong with, and there's many entities that are the violet light carriers. They are the ones that bring in violet light. That just doesn't happen, without something live doing it. Neither does the resurrection. what we should be celebrating a lot is resurrection. My gosh, things can be, you can come back to whole. What if my whole is peace, harmony, well-being, loving, and loving everybody, unconditional, and a great master, a great teacher? What if my whole is, I'm just spelling it WHOLE. The whole is whatever I want, but the perfect example of it. And there's just many, 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 many entities, angels, call them what you want, beings that are resurrection beings that are just waiting to answer those questions, those things for people. How about that for a goal?
I think it's great, and I think it's effective, and it's easy and simple, and it ties us
and that's
really
the
back
way it
to.
always is. That's why I say easy, success is easy. And they're the ones that are coming up with it, are helping me get it. I don't have to do all this by myself. What I have to do is go inside and, be, first of all, if I have a job, I want to understand it. When this new age came in, and the age of Aquarius came in, and the Pisces age is going out, I spent a lot of time. I think you know that. I spent a great deal of time trying to understand what this age was offering. What this age is offering is light, peace, harmony, wellness. What if I resurrect my body to complete healthy? What if I ask for the resurrection to make my body in balance? What if it's a flame and it's going through my body and it's healing me as I speak right now?
So
what's that for a goal?
It brings up a great question. So as we are in the age of Aquarius now, something that I read when this year started, it was in Forbes magazine, was something like 84% of people after experiencing COVID would like to start their own business, and they're leaving corporations. And the whole premise of what Forbes was printing was that people are now coming, job culture is changing to be more supportive of the individual who is the employee, with meditation, mindfulness, yoga, lunch breaks, life quality, working from home. So my question to you, Nance, is with this new age, it changes everything, including what work looks like, working for money, how we work, what kind of work we engage in. Is there anything that you can add into that?
Well, every day we're always changing. Everything is changing. The one thing you can count on is change.
Right.
And, everything is changing, but, it's not, again, it sounds like, it's the outside that's changing. And I'm not saying the outside isn't, because it is. But I'm the one who's changing. I'm the one who needs to change.
Right.
It has nothing to do, and that's done inside me. That's done. I can have peace. I might need peace. Maybe all the stuff that's happening is not very fun, and it's not very pleasant to hear, watch, and be. If you have fear, you automatically have separation. Separation's the first part of it. Then, I've said this so many times, but the fear, then it goes into fear, then it goes into anxiety, then it goes into, the separation, and then it goes into doubting, and then it goes into confusion. None of those work. I don't want any of them.
Right.
I don't want them for my goal. I don't, people say, oh, I worry about my family, and God bless them. I mean, but I'm glad I'm not their family, because they're programming what I don't want.
Yeah.
Because we get what we think. And that's everybody. And that's not just me, you, and whatever. It's every single person. Everything, what we get, we're eventually, because we thought it, or we're in the thought process of it. That's why I don't like the thinking part, going way into complications. I like to keep things simple and easy and simple. And if you know universal law at all, it is pretty simple. It's love is the only answer. whatever you think you're going to get. You know, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was easy though.
Well, you know, what I enjoy and appreciate in being your student, but also the results that I've received, is that practice. And this was something that I addressed even at the seminar tonight. When we take in a piece of information that sparks us, and tonight the spark is resurrection. I have the power to now use resurrection in my vocabulary and talk about resurrecting anything.
Resurrection means bringing it back, bringing it into the whole. It's getting it to a place where it's beyond. It's the best it can happen. It's wonderful. It's this, it's that. It's whole. It's not fractured. It's not sick. It's not divided.
So, you know, that being the inspiration, we can use that. So in conjunction to the podcast that we offered last week about manifesting, what do you want? Something that you shed light on for me a while ago was when loving with God created includes ourself, loving ourself and knowing that
well, you're not going to get anything if you don't love yourself.
Right. And that everything, our relationship to self, the loving of self, is the magnet to everything else that draws itself in. And
how can you love anything? How can you love anything truly if you don't love yourself? And if you don't understand yourself, and if you don't know your source, and if you don't know the sources inside of you, and if you don't know that breath is where where the source put itself inside, and if you don't know there are many, many beings out there that are just waiting to help and go, as long as you go to the solution. If you go to the problem, they're not going to help you because they're not going to believe in the bad and the negative. They're not going to believe in the problem, and they're certainly not going to help you believe that you're a poor, awful person, and you know you can never do anything. You can't. Your source, your God, your likeness of God. You've got everything. And people say, well, you know, it's someone else. It's not me. Certainly I don't. Yes, the breath is in every single person, and the divine is in the breath. It put itself in the breath. How ingenious was that? You talk about a goal of keeping mercy and being merciful and loving and thankful and having a time where the humanity could have been wiped out. Instead, it made a duality and put itself in the breath to make that happen. I mean, what kind of goal is that?
It's so beautiful. I really love it.
Well,
you know, there's what the biggest, and I mentioned this tonight too, my biggest takeaway in becoming your student is radical upliftment in the way that I think and what I think. And I said tonight when I opened up, Paulo Freire is a Brazilian educator, and he said, you know, when it comes to learning or when it comes to teaching, for, you know, a lot of times what we become used to is a depository method where the information gets deposited in, we take a test on it, we memorize it, we get a grade, and then we forget about it. But the real teachers that really give inspiration to become lifelong learners are the teachers that help their students to know that they have the ability to learn and the love of learning. And I feel like you have delivered that to me, because I think of things on a whole different level. Like, for instance, with the hurricane that was happening with Florida, I was like, well, what's going on with the elementals, and how are why did that have to happen, and can we talk about it, can we negotiate with the elementals, and just went through a whole different level of thinking instead of just accepting it for what it is and then saying, you know, I hope everyone's going to be okay. It's like, well, why did that need to happen? Is there a balancing part to that? And that was going to be
too much thinking, honey.
Too much thinking. Okay. So
I like the fact that you're asking questions.
Right.
But again, thought is not going to give us the answers from the outside.
Right. We have to
You
go to
got
the
to
heart.
go inside. Now, people don't want to hear that. They, we're addicted to the outside. We're in a computer program. We're in a matrix, and it's habit forming, and it's comfortable because it's, even though we hate it and we don't like it happening and so on, but we don't like it, but we're used to it, and it's easier for us to be outside than inside. If you're not inside, you're going to suffer.
Right.
You've got to at least go inside a little bit and know the inside by your heart chakra, and know and understand that that's where the now is, that's where the God is, that is where the answers are. And if they were somewhere else, then so be it, but they're not, and they won't be in
Right.
this age.
Right.
And how difficult is it? It's not really difficult. What's difficult is staying away from distraction, because I have to breathe anyway.
Right.
If I'm not breathing, you're not going to be talking to me.
No.
I won't be here, and I have to breathe anyway. And behind my breath, every single breath, not once, not twice, not maybe not for this person and yes for that person. In every single breath is the divine. And all it takes is to recognize it and merge with it. I was doing this. I think I might have confessed this last week too, but this week I've been much better at it. I'm sitting there already knowing this and doing it, and I'm merging, working, giving myself to merging the breath with the. You don't have to feel anything. You don't have to know it. Just know it's there. So it could be invisible to you, but whatever. Anyway, I was doing it, and all of a sudden something else, a thought came through. This is why I say too much thought. A thought came in my head. I just left that divine thought, meshing with the divine, and I went to my troubled thought. I'm sitting there going, why am I doing that? That would be like my talking to you and then walking away from you. You're right in the middle of this podcast, and I walk away from you and I just ignore you.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, people do it all the time.
Yeah.
People do it all the time.
Do you have?
And it's not a bad person. I mean, everybody. It just takes practice it takes understanding, and it takes knowledge. It's believing. This is another point why I'm not as much into thinking as I used to be in the old days, a long time ago, actually, quite a while ago. But the thinking is believing. Belief systems are false. Most of them, it's just a matter of what do you think? What did you learn? How did you come across this? How did someone teach you? And so on. It didn't matter if it's wrong or it's not wrong. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. But, this is my belief. This is what I learned. This is what I think. Oh, yeah, I believe that people are really bad. They treated me really badly, and they're all bad. I can't find anybody that has an honest. No. If you go inside, you get it. If you get a more class, you get a better answer.
Right.
And you find out how to do it. And because you did it, you automatically draw that to you.
Do you have
Those are my goals, if you want to call them goals, but I don't call them goals. I call them necessities.
So, in saying that, it's points of focus, priorities, practicing what works, practicing what's true.
Exactly.
I like it. I like the wording. I like the way it feels. You frequently say what I like. It's not about being right. It's about doing what works.
It's about doing what works. And it's, like I said, I have to breathe in. People, I'm too busy to meditate. I'm too busy to do this. I don't have time. You should see my day. I have 3 kids. And granted, I mean, I'm going along with, yes, this is all true. But we all have some time because we're breathing anyway. And right. It doesn't take a lot. It's not that we have to sit in a superficial way and become holy or anything. The holy is already inside of us. All I need to do is have enough thirst to want the right answer to go in and at least be present long enough to listen for a moment, or at least acknowledge them and let them help me, get back to the higher level. What's the term?
What do you mean?
What's the term?
Resurrect?
Resurrection.
So there's a question here about there's a question here about being selfish, about in our culture we were not taught to put ourselves first. We were taught to put others first, especially as women. So how can we how do we get out of our way to accept that we're part of the divine?
Everybody needs to do what they think. If you are doing whatever you're doing because it makes you happy and you feel good about it and it's something that you feel right about and so on, then it's fine. Being selfish is to be alive. I mean, nobody else is going to breathe for me.
Right.
All these people, I've been a caretaker many times, you know that.
Yeah.
But, I'm the one, if my breath leaves, I'm the one that it leaves and only me.
Right.
As far as my own way. And, that old saying about putting the mask on yourself first. If I have, try this. I mean, if you use it as an experiment, and that is, if you're happy, I don't mean obnoxiously throwing it in people's face, but if you get inside and you go, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. It's inside of you. It's a nectar inside, and you activate it, and you're happy. People around you are so nice. People around you, everybody is like different. It is a win-win for everybody, for us to be in alignment. It helps everyone, whether they don't know why all of a sudden that somebody walks past them and they feel better. I don't know what happened to that. I didn't do anything. It's like, well, it happens.
What about using that word want, Nance? I've heard some people, when it comes to law of attraction, say if I use the word want, it implies that there is a lack of. So
I think it does.
Yeah.
But I don't think we have to stub our toe on every little thing. No women not wanting, need. I need this. Well, wanting is better than need, I think. I mean, I'm not the last word on which one's yay or nay.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, needing is where I need breath. That's true. But if I don't have breath, that means I'm leaving, and so I needed to go. So needing is not quite the answer, but wanting it, why wouldn't we want to be peaceful? Why wouldn't my family that I'm taking care of want me peaceful? Of all people. Why would it be selfish for me to be happy? And if that's the case, and if somebody feels that way, I'm sorry you feel that way. Go find your own happiness, or I'll help you. But if you want to be happy, if you want to laugh at me, I'll be here for you, with you, or not. And if it's someone who's not making you happy, it's not their job. It's your job to be happy. It's inside of you. It's right smack inside. Did I tell the story about the person who was traveling? Did I tell you that story?
Refresh us.
Well, it's a story about a merchant that was traveling, and somebody came and asked him if they could travel with him, and they would take care of they would watch over his things and take care of him and so on. And this is an old Indian story. And so anyway, they traveled with this merchant, and every night when the merchant went to dinner, they declined dinner to go to the restaurant because they were looking for the man's gold and they were looking for his riches. And so every night the merchant left, and every night the man looked and looked and could not find it. No matter where he looked, could never find it. And after a while, he just got so frustrated. He said, I give up. Here's what I did. I'm a thief. I wanted your gold, and I looked everywhere. I can't stand it anymore. I give up. Where is it? And the merchant said, under your own pillow. I know you would never look there. And that's exactly the way things are. All these blessings are right under our own pillow. Right with our own pillow, they're inside of us.
That's true. I like that story. I
I got
it's
that story from my teacher. But
I
long
love.
time ago, many years ago.
Well, my thought process to saying I just want to be happy from what you've taught me is I'm so grateful to be happy. I am so thankful to be happy.
Oh yes,
All
great
positive.
gratitude. It to have true gratitude. You know, we can say thank you and oh yeah, that was nice, and not not actually being strong into it. I mean, you can say the words and not. It's better than not saying them, but it's about feeling those words. When you have that gratitude, oh my God, I am so thankful. When that app showed up, I was thankful, not because the app is the here and less, the bad, but it just made my life easier. And I worked and worked and worked to get that app to come up on my phone, and it did not happen before the resurrection happened. And so I was very happy, and to be grateful. That was a gift. I may have. I thought I don't know if I can keep. I'm going to have to go find something else that worked better than what I was using, and there didn't seem to be many things that were working better. But gratitude is when you're happy and you're really in gratitude, you're not faking it. You are truly happy, and you recognize the gift that was given to you. You recognize whatever it is that that created that help. Happiness is not something that has to be created by something someone does or do. It can just be inside of you for no reason. It can just be there because that's where it's at. But if something stimulated my happiness and I'm grateful, or somebody made my life easy or successful, or someone helped me get to where I needed to go, and I'm really appreciative and I really feel gratitude about it, well, it's because I recognize what they did.
Right.
If I didn't recognize it, I wouldn't have the same kind of gratitude.
Well, there's this sentence that you taught us too, which is how am I going to feel when? And that initiated the feeling of, how am I going to feel when, and I'll go back to the sales thing because it's easy, when I have 8 closing deals and I make my 3,000 for the week. How am I going to feel when? And then think about the feeling. I'm going to feel excited. I'm going to feel abundant. I'm going to feel joyful. I'm going to feel grateful that they were win-win situations and then everyone was happy. So now you take those emotions or that feeling, and it's easy. You understand that it's all magnetic and that it's alignment. So that if you step into those feelings, then you can be in that space. So just like Nancy was saying, you step into gratitude, the feeling of gratitude. For me now, it's not a practice anymore so much as a default setting. So when I say, I'm grateful to be happy, I'm thinking, it doesn't feel good to not be happy. So when it's so easy for me now to say, I'm grateful to be happy because it's a wonderful feeling to be happy. I'm grateful to be prosperous because it's a wonderful feeling to pay my bills on time and to have the income and resources to meet those needs. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the house that I live in and the roof over my head. And you used to use the word core gratitude. I don't know if you still use that word, but to me it really resonated that I have this understanding of God's grace in my life, and God's grace is let me do for you what you can't do for yourself. And thank God I have that, because thank God we all have that. But when I think about to myself, thank God I have God's grace, because think of all the things that I've prayed for and received, or prayed for and got into alignment with, or was handed because of praying and knowing God's grace, as opposed to a life where that didn't happen for me, or a life where that component didn't exist, or it didn't exist so obviously. What more suffering and a struggle my life would be if I didn't know God was real, if I didn't know that God loved me, if I didn't know that things could come so easily to me, or the way to go into the breath, go into the heart, to meditate. If I didn't know these things, my life quality would be extremely different. What a blessing it is to know them. And that's now that mentality lives in my gratitude. So when I say I'm grateful, I've been on the side where I felt disconnected. mentally, which was because of a belief system, and now living on the other side of that belief system into a place of knowing and trust of, wow, I am so lucky because I know that God loves me. Wow, I'm so lucky because I know God provides for me. I don't have to deal with that stress because I know that my creator cares about me, and that so long as I do my part to vibrate in the alignment or in the vibrational frequency of what I am wanting feels like, it will come to me because I have the luxury of knowing I live in a law of attraction based world.
Yes, and what God would say to you, you're lucky because you love yourself, and you're lucky that you don't see it as selfishness. You're lucky that love is the only answer, and it's got to start somewhere. So it starts within ourselves. It's under our own pillow, just like the person who was going to be a thief. He didn't look under his own pillow because he doesn't look in his own life.
Yeah, that's true. And like even like the speaking engagement for tonight was about parents who have neurodivergent children, and how can they on one hand, how can they assist their children, but how can they make lifestyles that support the whole of the family, including themselves. And I'm not a parent, but speaking from the place of where I understand these parents are, they love their children very much, and they step into the role of sacrificing for their children, sometimes to their own detriment because they burn out. And one of the pieces that came up tonight was about selfishness, where they felt groomed that selfishness was bad and that our role was to constantly take care of others, and the idea of taking care of themselves, especially when they had a special needs child that perhaps depended on them, it almost felt alien, but they understand that it was important.
The more they can give that child that is independence, and the more they can give that child the confidence, and the more they can see the parent who's their mentor doing things that the child wants to do, and then showing the child that they can do it too, or at least get the benefit of it, or at least recognize it, or whatever the case might be. It's not about selfishness. It's about understanding. A butterfly wants to be a butterfly. Dogs and cats and animals, domestic animals, they're acting more and more like human beings. They're showing us how to behave. And donkeys, whatever. But still, everybody wants. I think I've heard a few people, and these few have been women a lot of times. And women, you ask them what they wanted in a relationship. And there's one of the common ones I hear is, I want someone who gets me, who understands me.
Right.
Well, the universe does too.
True.
The universe wants to be understood. It wants to be understood, and it wants to have people happy, and it wants them to get the universe, because that's where the answers are. Yeah. I mean, there's a good reason to get and understand the universe. That's what the answers are. That's where the law is. That's where the divine laws are. That's where the chances of having and resurrecting. I mean, the beautiful thing with the Jesus story, and the beautiful thing where people are resurrected all the time. Every time you're in a negative or not a good space, or less than desirable space, and you come out of it, that is resurrection.
So I'd like to ask this question to you, Nance, because I know that we can consciously create on our own behalf. I am protected, I am loved, things are working out for me. What happens when it comes up with others? So when we pray for others or others' behalf, we can't control their free will or their narrative, or what we can't know what's for their best and highest good. But if we want to say a nice prayer for them, beyond, thank you for your highest good being done, and thank you for something nice happening, how can we correctly love others through prayer?
By being loving, by being unconditional, by not judging, by being happy. by just demonstrating another way to do things. By being a friend, by not just, you don't have to come up with all of their answers, and you probably won't really, because they have to do that themselves a lot of times. And so, but it doesn't mean that. It just means I like you anyway. I don't care if you like me or not. I like you anyway. I care about you. I'll be here. If you ever want a friend, I'm here. Okay, you don't want a friend right now? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Doesn't matter to me whether you want it or not. You have it. And if you want it, fine. If you don't, then I understand. That's fine too.
I think what I was meaning is about like words, even like if we're praying for someone, praying for others, there's a line between ego and control, and actually
we're not here to save people anymore. We're here to demonstrate, but we're not here to save people. And if you want to say prayers, I see things all the time. And when Steve was sick, I used to ask people if they wanted to do a prayer, because it doesn't hurt for people more, two or more that are gathered can be very powerful.
Right.
So that's all. You don't have to think about it. Again, thinking. You don't have to think about it. It's where your heart is. What is your intent in your heart? And watch what how you say things, because you can't, you're saying is what can be safe so I don't overstep my, understand they have a high self. I have a one that I use, and I think it's one of the best that I know, and that is ask for reality. Ask for their world to come into reality, because reality is divine. Just ask somebody to be real. Just ask them to have real balance in their life. And that's it. And then let it go. And mean it. But mean it when you say it.
Right. I like, I was asking, because I'm learning, we're in this being in the new age is different, because certain things that we learned or certain practices that we had, they don't apply anymore. And
nope, they don't.
Everything.
And yes, it is different. And yes, it's a major thing to go into a new age. Any new age is major, but this one is the age of light.
Right. And
and the negativity has to, there is a universal law that dark or negative or the lower level has to, I'm going to use the word dark because it's just easier to use it as a visual. Sometimes, anyway, if the night automatically has to bend to when morning comes.
Right.
If you have a dark room and you light the light, there is no war. The reason there's no war, and it shows that, you see people warring everywhere, which is a false matrix. But to the truth, there is no war, because there's a universal law that dark has to bend to light. Has to. So if your candle's lit, it's not going to get lit by a dead candle. If your candle's lit, you can light others.
Well, thinking about resurrecting. So even if I use the families tonight as the example, if they're praying for their children and they're saying, my child's health is resurrected to the highest.
To the highest level possible.
Right. Their
happiness is if it, I don't know what everybody's destiny is, what they signed up for, but
right.
That their happiness and their peace of mind is there, and my peace of mind is there, and I know what to do. I'm not guessing so much anymore. I know how to handle this. I know that because I'm being shown by divine.
Right. That's what.
Why not? Why not have something that's unlimited, that can hit every timeline there ever has been, can get to every parallel universe, that is a whole ocean, and I'm a drop, and I can merge with the whole ocean and have the access to the whole ocean just in my breath, just because I breathe and acknowledge it. You can breathe and you don't pay attention. You do it automatically, so you take it for granted until something happens where you don't.
Right.
But that's not the point. The point is to recognize it, to understand it, to do it on purpose. You're purposely going, oh my God, I know that's you. I know you're a part. I know you're the ocean. I know you're helping me. I know you know what I need. it's a whole different ballgame when you know.
I agree. So that actually is our hour. And I'm grateful to the individuals who watched tonight and the questions that we were given. Thank you, Nancy, for sharing your wisdom with us. As always, appreciated and valued. I love you. And thank you for being part of this. And we'll see you next Wednesday, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye.